Welcome to Two Left Fielders. I'm Harry Cassell, coming to you live, straight out of left field. Joining me, the legend, G-Mart.
What's good with it, Harold? Apparently my computer's fired up to be back on the podcast as well. A little chime to start the show out. I figured it'd be a nice touch. It's like, well, what's good with you, bro? You out in Gainesville living the dream?
All is well, and shine bright like a Gainesville diamond.
Whatever that means. So what's good, bro? It's been a wild week in the world of sports.
It has. Anything you want to get to first?
I think it's been all over all social media outlets, all news stations. Conor McGregor, he got in a fight with a bus this week.
Like the Lakers owner?
Yes, like Jim Buss. Come on,
like Jeannie Buss. He fought Jeannie Buss.
Jim and Jeannie Buss were throwing blows with Conor.
Like in the octagon? Like, how did this happen?
They came at Conor. He said this.
You'll do nothing.
Well, regardless, it wasn't exactly the Buss family from L.A., but he did it. There's this fighter, Habib. He and Habib had this beef. Conor showed up at Barclays Center with his goons, 30 deep, running after them. And, they got a group of these fighters. They're on a bus. This man's throwing push carts, dollies, shattering windows. They ended up having to cancel fights because of Conor's antics.
I like it. I think anything where, like, it's such a violent sport, and then people are like, this is bad for the sport's image. And I'm like, you guys punch each other in the face. Am I missing something? I like the end, though. The end of the video, it's just like they're all wearing, like, Nike sweaters, and they all run in their sweatsuits, and they all just start running in the same direction, like that commercial with Kevin Hart. And I was like, where are you guys going? And they're like, the earth is turning in the wrong way.
I mean, Dana White acted upset over the matter. It obviously wasn't staged. Conor's got felony charges coming his way. I mean, the guy's been all over the map, but I think, quite frankly, this is good for business. I mean, think about the next time he fights, especially if he fights this Khabib guy. Think about what that's going to do for the pay-per-view. I mean, Conor McGregor, Dana White's worried about, will people want to watch him? Quite frankly, look at this. He's the first story we opened with.
Everyone wants to watch.
Yeah, come on. It's a story everyone's opening up with this week. I mean, that's not going to be bad for business. It's pretty, wild. And it adheres to the tradition of, fighting where they have these ridiculous press conferences. There's always this pre-fight beef that everybody gets into. So, I don't know. I think it's quite, it's not necessarily the worst thing for the UFC.
It's not. It's pretty good. But going away from that, Colin Kaepernick will not stop kneeling. The Seahawks have postponed his workout after he revealed that he will continue his anthem protest. And to that I have to say, Kaepernick, you just missed the woke team. Why is he trying out for this team, like post Sherman and Bennett? Why are you doing that to yourself, Kaepernick? You just had it. Everyone was kneeling on the Seahawks. Yeah,
they're in the Northwest. Paul Allen, or their owner. He's a very liberal guy. Seattle's a very liberal town. Seems like, Seattle would be a good place for Colin to get in. But, before he would do a workout, he had to, commit whether or not he's going to kneel. And he's sticking to his guns. And quite frankly, I think it's all kind of odd how the timing's playing out. He's got his grievance case with the NFL coming up this week. So, I don't know. I think there's going to be more that ends up coming to bear out of this issue because – it's quite frankly, last year in the NFL, Colin Kaepernick taking a knee, even though he wasn't there, was the most controversial thing the NFL's had to deal with in a long time. So I think
I don't understand how that's the most controversial thing you've had to deal with in a long time. You have a team named the Redskins.
A team named the Redskins. You got players.
It's named the Redskins, that's not the most controversial thing in the sport?
You got people like Jerry Jones calling into everybody, looking to get any and everybody off the streets, and regardless of what they've done off the field, as long as they can play football, Jerry wants you on your team. I mean, the owners, we got Bob McNair out in Houston, the Texans owner. He's a clown as well. He said, you can't let the inmates run the prison, referring to this. So, I don't know. I agree with you. It's pretty ridiculous for all the issues the NFL's had.
You see like Odell Beckham, and there's this huge sweepstakes over who's going to get Odell Beckham. And he was just found a month ago with a mysterious white powder and a bunch of brown cigarettes. And how is that not a big deal? But, like, this man is trying to start a protest and start awareness for something that's very serious, and people don't look at it like that. They just look at, it's bad for the flag, do.
So what, you really gonna try to tell me Odell wasn't just eating powdered donuts?
You were eating powdered donuts with your pizza?
I don't know. Look, that's a move I've made in my, some of my younger days, but regardless, it's a little bit ridiculous.
And that's why I would beat you in a 40-yard dash.
Even if my hand's cut off.
Hashtag show race.
All right, so sticking with the NFL, my man, Andrew Luck.
Speaking with cutting off hands.
Andrew Luck. He sounds like he's a Star Wars character, Spock or something from Star Trek. Let's hear what Andrew had to say about his throwing of
Nerds are going wild right now that you were like, it's a Star Wars character, and then named a Star Trek character.
No, I'm not.
Thank you for alienating Luke.
The Duke and started throwing it yet, and I don't want to skip steps.
Look, Andrew, I know you've been studying at Oxford all year, but, it's pretty ridiculous. You're a franchise quarterback. You're going to be – it's going into year 2 now of not even picking up the Duke. For those who don't know, that's what the name of the NFL official football is. Andrew, he hasn't played in 2 years. He's been hearing, we're going to come back, I think it's safe to say he's going to be getting a call soon.
Dak, this Jerry Jones, and you're a Dallas Cowboy.
There
it is. You knew we were going to get it in. It might get a bit redundant, but you can better believe Jerry Jones is going to be giving Andrew Luck a call. So, come down here and be a quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys.
I don't understand how Andrew Luck went out before Teddy Bridgewater with a shoulder injury, and then Teddy Bridgewater ruined his leg, shattered his leg. MCL, ACL, all of those 3-letter acronyms that are in the leg. And Teddy Bridgewater is back. And Andrew Luck still hasn't thrown the Duke.
Andrew Luck's still drawing up physics problems on the chalkboard in the weight room. So I don't know. He might be more concerned with
Is that a Good Will Hunting reference? I don't even get that one.
I'm not really sure. I just know Andrew Luck is a brainiac. I had a buddy of mine, Dylan Kenyon. Shout out. He said that he thought Andrew Luck might have been taking advanced courses at Oxford this past season whenever he was missing games for the Colts. But he's a brainiac from Stanford. But I digress. We got a big weekend coming up this week, Harry. NBA playoffs are back. We all know what that means.
That's true. We have a call, right? We got a caller. We got a voice memo. You can send us your voice memos, your questions, your concerns to @2leftfielders on Twitter. Let's hear it.
Don't talk about playoffs. You kidding me?
Jim Mora, even though it's football, you had to do it.
Jim Mora, he called us.
The playoffs? Everybody's getting fired up. We got a lot coming out. We got... a lot of great matchups. We got the
play the call.
Play the call.
Yeah, the call. We got a caller.
Oh, your aunt. Oh my gosh. We got Harry's aunt.
We don't know who the caller is. First of all, this could be anybody.
This is your 83-year-old crazy aunt. Are we playing Philadelphia? Philadelphia's in third. This is Jay.
Who was that, Harry?
I could have been. It sounded like Oprah. Did Oprah call the show? We're world renowned over here, so I think Oprah knows. Meryl Streep? Okay, Meryl Streep. Yes. The Miami Heat are playing the Philadelphia 76ers. Shout out to my Aunt Bobby. The Heat have a budding rivalry with the Sixers. All started during the preseason with a whole little Twitter war between Joel Embiid and Hassan Whiteside. I understand that the Sixers went on this whole unprecedented run to end the season, but they beat up on a lot of bad teams. The Heat scrap and claw every single game. They have played in 19 games that were decided by one possession. And besides the Rockets and the Cavs, who a lot of people speculate are going to make the finals, the Heat have won more games against playoff teams in their respective conference.
Look, I got to tell you, Harry.
Pat Riley, Miami in 6.
You know what? I think Miami does have the upper, especially considering Joel Embiid's not going to be playing. I think Miami has got a real advantage here. I think.
Isn't he back? He's not back?
No, he's not back yet. It's looking like he's going to miss the first series or at least some of the games, and he'll be wearing a mask when he does return.
Well, if he misses the first series, looks like the Sixers are going to miss the rest of the playoffs.
Yeah, D Wade back. They got veteran experience. They got big Whiteside in the post. I think Miami's going to have an advantage.
I think Dragic is going to draw a lot of matchup problems because I know that Markelle Fultz just got his first triple-double, but he's a rookie, and you could see it on the defensive end because if he has a top 10 point guard running at him, which I believe Dragic is, he's just going to give up a bunch of easy buckets. So get ready for that.
Seriously. So all season there's been murmurs of people talking about should they change the format of the playoffs? Should they have playoff games, play-in games, similar to what they have March Madness? Well, you know what? The way it just so happened, there was a play-in game. The Nuggets and Minnesota played each other for all the marbles.
It was a great game.
It was a great game.
Overtime.
Went into overtime. I know Taj Gibson had a few big defensive stops, and it turned out the Minnesota Timberwolves ended up making their first playoffs in a couple of decades.
I feel like what you really need is those stars, and it really doesn't matter because when it comes down to those last couple minutes in the game, because that basically was a playoff game, is you're going Jokic, who's good, don't get me wrong, but he's going against Karl Anthony Towns and Andrew Wiggins and Jimmy Butler, and you're just not going to get it done with just Jokic. And it's sad to say because if the Nuggets were in the East, they would be in the playoffs. And maybe the Heat would be out, so good thing they're not.
I think it was irrelevant. Either one of those teams, they had a great season, but they're going to be playing Houston. They're going to be playing James Harden, Chris Paul. As James Harden said, they've been swagging and hooping all year. I think this series is going to be over quick. I think this series might be a sweep, quite frankly.
Yeah, of course. You're going to see Houston playing that new style of basketball, which kind of isn't true. You can't. That's just lowering everyone else's expectations. But if I'm going to have to say something, I don't think it's going to be a sweep. I think you're going to have to look out for Karl Anthony Towns. The Wolves are rarely on television. This is going to be a very public showing of the young guns. I say Houston in 5. I say they steal one at home.
I agree. I think it'll be a quick series. We got Washington playing the Raptors. I know the Wizards, they had a really disappointing season. They had, John Wall was out for a lot of the year. He's back now, but I think the Raptors claiming their first 1 seed in franchise history. I think they're going to come out running and gunning, ready to go. What do you think?
I know every year we talk about the Raptors up to this point, it's always the same talking points. It's a new team, and then they just totally fall off. But the truth is Washington is kind of the new team. They were the 3 seed earlier this year when John Wall was in, and he went out, and then I think they won like 7 of 9 or something, and everyone lost their mind, and they were like, we don't need John Wall, and then they just plummeted. They went from the 3 seed to the 8 seed in a matter of months, and they're still trying to integrate John Wall back into that lineup, and I think it's going to be tough against such a skilled backcourt that the Raptors have. I say Raptors in 5.
Raptors in 5, interesting. I think that might even go 6, but I think the Raptors make quick work of them. Next up, we got a very intriguing series, the Spurs and the Warriors. Now, Kawhi Leonard being out, the Spurs are not going to be the same team at all. Steph Curry is also not in the lineup, so this is a bit of a watered-down first series. But we got 2, championship-caliber teams, Greg Popovich versus Steve Kerr. We're going to have a great matchup, but I think that Golden State comes out and makes quick work of them in 4 games. What do you think?
Steph is not in the lineup. He's sitting there with an MCL injury, and you have Greg Popovich, one of the greatest coaches of all time across any sport. And these are teams where Golden State is one of the only teams to enter the playoffs with a negative record through the last 12 games. I don't care. Just play the E40 sound. Golden State in 4.
Golden State in 4. What'd you say? E40?
Yep. Everybody say Warriors.
Warriors. Yeah, I think the Warriors make quick work.
This is a flawless transition.
Flawless transition.
Boston is playing Milwaukee. Boston kind of seems like the team toward the end of the season. Once they got rid of Kyrie, it almost looked like Washington was tanking on purpose to try to get that 7 seed and play Boston because everyone is injured. Boston doesn't have Gordon Hayward. They don't have Kyrie Irving, but they still have home court advantage. They still have Brad Stevens, who's a really good coach. And I'm going to give it to Boston on this one. I say Boston in 6. They win it in Milwaukee.
Yeah, I think the Greek Freak, he's going to be coming out running and gunning. I think, Harry, I might go ahead and call a very bold upset alert in this one. I think Milwaukee might take down Boston there with a depleted roster. Kyrie's not going to be playing. Obviously, no Gordon Hayward.
That's not a bold prediction.
Milwaukee taking down Boston, who everyone thought was going to win the East all year. I don't know. I think
everyone thought they were going to win the East all year because they had Kyrie, and they thought Hayward was coming back.
Fair enough, but I'm taking Milwaukee in this one, in 7.
All right, and this I don't know if a lot of people are going to agree with me, but I'm just going to say it. Portland is taking on New Orleans, and it's the best series in the first round. I don't care. At me. Blazers caught fire in mid-February after basically looking like the Heat. They were just looking like a 500 team. They won 13 in a row to propel themselves in the top half of the Western Conference. New Orleans has Boogie Cousins sidelined, so, it might seem like things aren't looking good for the Pelicans, but Nikola Mirotic has stepped up through the last 5 games, points and rebounds. 21 and 15, 24 and 16, 28 and 6, 31 and 16, and 25 and 7. All wins, relevant wins. There's one against the Spurs, but Damian Lillard has been clutch time. So I'm going to have to give it to him. Give him the nod. Portland in 7, very, very good basketball.
Dame Dalla, I like it. I think Portland in 7 is a fair prediction as well. I think he's ready to make some noise. I know AD's going to come out balling. Now, if he had that unibrow taken care of, I think he might come out with a little bit more swagger. We know that was just a joke, but I think you're right. I think Portland ends up taking it. We got OKC versus Utah Jazz. This is going to be a very intriguing series. My man Donovan Mitchell, there's been the big debate this week. Should he be the Rookie of the Year versus Ben Simmons?
He should be.
He should be. I mean, Ben Simmons he had a year in the NBA as a red shirt essentially with his injury. And then nonetheless, too, look at now granted, it's been a big year for the Sixers, but Donovan Mitchell is the best player on the Jazz, and he's carried them to the 3 seed in the West. I mean, or in the 4 seed in the West.
Honestly, it doesn't matter how many fun hoodies Donovan Mitchell wears. It comes down to this. Was Ben Simmons paid last year?
Yes, millions.
Then he's not a rookie. He's not a rookie. If you were paid to do something, then you're doing it.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's pretty obvious. D-Mitch deserves the Rookie of the Year. I think it's going to be a tough matchup with him, though, playing a veteran OKC team. Russell's going to be coming out running and gunning. We're going to have Melo ready to play in the playoffs. He hasn't been in the playoffs in some time. Paul George is going to be ready to go. So I think, honestly, this is going to be a tough series for the Jazz to win. I think I'm going to take OKC in 7.
We did it. We disagreed on something. I'm not picking OKC. I think with Rudy Gobert guarding the rim, it's going to be tough for the Thunder to get decent buckets. And if Paul George's shot isn't falling, which it kind of hasn't as of late, then they're really just not going to be able to score buckets. So you're going to see a team that's just depleted because Rudy Gobert is so dominant, in that center position. I'm going to give it to Utah, and I'm going to give it to them in 6.
Wow. I think it'd be interesting
to see how it all comes out. The last one. Cleveland's going to beat the Pacers. Do we need it? That's the playoffs. We don't need to. They signed Kendrick Perkins. That's the missing piece.
They got LeBron James. Come on, bro. LeBron hasn't lost a first round. LeBron James hasn't lost a first round game in years. I want to say 7 years is what a statistic I heard. Now, that was from No Neck Brian Windhorst, so I don't know if that was very valid or not. I don't know if it was 7 years since he's last seen his private
Why
areas.
Why did you just take out Brian Windhorst? That wasn't cool.
No Neck Brian Windhorst, you got love for him?
I got love for him. Breaks all my fun stories. I give him a follow.
Well, with the NBA season over now, I think it's pretty safe to say that we've all seen a number of these franchises turn and look in another direction. There's been a few coaches fired. The Knicks in Orlando, the day after the season ended.
Hello?
Harry? Hello? You got me, Harry?
I lost you. I'm sorry. What happened?
We're good, bro. I don't know what happened.
I think my headphones cut out. We're talking about the Knicks, right? The Knicks fired their coach?
The Knicks fired their coach. Let's hear what Stephen A. has got to say.
Week. I expect the New York Knicks to name Mark Jackson as the new head coach.
That'd be a hell of a move if the Knicks could bring in Mark Jackson from the broadcasting.
I don't understand why, teams like the Knicks and Orlando, why they fire their coaches the day the season ends. Because it really doesn't matter if you're Greg Popovich or the best coach in the world, because you're not fixing the Knicks or Orlando. No one's fixing that squad. It's not like if you had another coach, it would bring this miserable group of misfits to the playoffs. This isn't blue chips. This is real life.
It's not blue chips. I agree. And you know what? I think at this point, it's safe to say they maybe start trusting the process. Go the Sixers route. I mean, look at them; they're the 3 seed in the East. They got they tanked for a few straight years and turned things around. There was going to be no coach that was going to coach any of these teams to greatness until they started getting some better players. So I think it's pretty obvious that that's not going to really make much of a change. The Knicks are a joke. As long as James Dolan is the owner, they're going to have issues.
And finally, hockey playoffs are on their way, with the Golden Knights making history as the first expansion team to make the playoffs.
I think we're venturing a little too far into left field, Harry.
But no, it's hockey. We're talking about it's a sports show.
Come on, bro. That's the show for the week.
I still have my Yelp review.
Enough of this, Harry. Enough of this. If you like the show, follow us on Twitter at 2leftfielders. You can get in touch with the show, leave us feedback, and send all your questions, Jerry Jones related or otherwise. Come on, Harry. Enough of this.
All right, so McDonald's.